Hey, this is Dan from WrestleRoasts. Me and the rest of the boys just want to send our condolences to the family of Bobby Eaton and the friends of Bobby Eaton. By all accounts, besides being one of the greatest workers of all time, he seemed like a fantastic dude. There's been nothing but an outpouring of love, and what he's done for the boys, whether or not it was providing extra socks, for them on the road to buying meals. Is one of the true good guys in wrestling. So rest in peace, Bobby. We love you.
But you know and I know that you only half the man that I am. And I have half the brain that you do. Keep on kissing babies and hugging fat girls. He's alive! Kane is alive, Undertaker! You are a sniveling little suck-up sellout full of suffering succotash, son!
It's me, Austin! Oh, son of a bitch! What? It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
And you t-shirts are too tight too, Billy! And you book a match with me against Ryan Keelan! Look at me! I'm a total package! I will rip him apart! I'm pissed now!
Where to, Stephanie?
WrestleRoasts on ad-free shows and ATC.
Welcome everybody to Wrestle Roasts and the roast of Lex Luger. Man, we got a big show coming up. It's me, Handsome Dan, Saint Germain. How does that work for a nickname, Scott? Do you believe in it? Do you buy it?
Your wife doesn't even buy it.
Scotty Chaps is here. Mike Lawrence is here. Robert is out this week, but joining us, you know him from the roast of Dave Meltzer. If you're a Patreon, he killed there. Kurt Ryan, everybody. Kurt, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Well, thanks for having me back. In case anyone missed the Dave Meltzer roast, let me just sum it up. Autism.
That was basically it.
That's the thing. We only bring on Kurt for the handicap roast. Dave Meltzer, like Luger.
I didn't even think about that until I was like, oh, well, Luger's different. And then I saw Luger now, and I was like,
I think that. I'm like, does Dan just like, I'm just his go-to for like disabled?
Kurt, that's not true. Joining us next week will be Kurt Ryan on the roast of draws. So check it out. All right, well, let me just do some show business up front. We got shows coming up next week. We got the roast of the British Bulldog. Then we got the roast of The Rock, the roast of JBL, the roast of Lawrence Taylor, the Bella Twins, AJ Styles, the Honky Tonk Man. This week's on the Sports Entertainment will be Raw again, so you'll be able to hear the jar of pills going into my mouth. August 9th, for Patreon, we're off this week, but then we're going to do Wrestling's Dumbest Criminals next week. Then August 23rd, we're going to be doing the first ever TNA pay-per-view, which you can get on YouTube. We're also probably going to be reviewing Rampage if CM Punk is on it. But so, we will cover that Rampage. August 30th, the roast of Vince Russo and the Reverse Battle Royal at TNA. September 6th, we're off. September 13th, we're doing all the bright sides we didn't get to. Bret Hart, Goldberg, the Hardy Boys, $1 Million Man, Big Show, Shane McMahon, Baron Corbin. September 20th and 27th will be a WWE pay-per-view and WrestleMania 2. We're not sure which one is going which. October 4th, the roast of Alberto Del Rio. October 11th, Halloween Havoc. October 18th, Wrestling's Darkest Crimes. October 25th will probably be a WWE pay-per-view. And November 1st, the roast of Nick Gage. So there's going to be a lot of fun fucking stuff coming up.
But the only thing more carved up than a Thanksgiving turkey. It was either him or Tatanka, and Nick Cage. Let's make fun of the one we don't know will be alive in 3 months. Which could also be Tatanka.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that's a real call in the air situation. Also, they both could be Native American or not. I have no idea. I really don't know. Next up, we've got the bright side of Lex Luger. I'll start out and say fantastic body, probably the greatest wrestling body in history. When he flexed, it's what Hogan thought he looked like. He didn't need the business as much as the business needed him. He ended up making a ton of money at WCW. That whole thing about Eric Bischoff saying like he signed him for a nickel, it's not true. He ended up making a ton of money. I mean, he did. He initially signed him for a low rate, but he was quickly over $1 million. Later, and he did great for his skill set. I like the narcissist gimmick. Royal Rumble 94 is one of the things that got me into wrestling. He looked cool in the Wolfpack. That's a common thing you're going to hear is he looked cool. Great War Games match. Luger versus Flair at Wrestle Wars was awesome. I just watched beforehand. Flair had a great promo beforehand. Rick made Luger look fantastic, and Lex, did his job. He's run into some real hard times, and he could be Dynamite Kid, but he's not. And longest reigning United States champion history on Twitter. He posts pictures of his dog and shit. Seems like a good dude. And finally, his accolades: Royal Rumble winner, Pro Wrestling Illustrated Wrestler of the Year, 2-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion, 2-time WCW TV Champion, 5-time United States Champion, longest reigning, and 3-time WCW Tag Team Champion. What do you feel about Mr. Lex Express, Mike Lawrence?
I was a bit of a fan in some ways just because it was the era, like that WrestleMania. I'm of WrestleFest age, but a game I played a lot of and had the home version of was the WrestleMania arcade game. It was like the one with like the Mortal Kombat digitized wrestlers.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, when you like punch Yokozuna, like chickens come out and stuff. It was fucking great. And Bam Bam was in it. I mean, I won't bore you with all the wrestlers, but I remember when I first started getting WWE figures, that was like my holy grail, was to get all of the 8 characters from that game. And Luger was one of the tougher ones to find, and he comes with like fucking like a dumbbell and stuff. In the American outfit. I mean, I remember, I went to New York in '94, and my uncle was like, "Where do you want to go?" And I was like, "I want to go to the Intrepid because that's where Lex Luger slammed Yokozuna." I mean, that was a big fucking deal. They hyped the hell out of that shit. Like, he seemed like an important dude. That song, "I'll Be a Hero," is ironically fantastic. He's a fucking just a guy that's was around for a long time in both companies. One of the first signs of WCW's legitimacy, right? Like, what's he doing
his appearance in Minneapolis on the Nitro.
Yeah, sure. That really wonderful white T-shirt. Yeah, really dressed.
It looked very.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe this is real, but we not only got a handicapper, but we got the best ever. So I gotta ask, how are you so good at handicapping these games? 4-0, that's quite a streak already.
Well, let's talk about every pick I've given this year in the NFL as an example. 23-8. Every pick I've given this year. 4 weeks in the bag, 23-8. There's nobody in the country that can match what I do, but I always make sure, because anybody, Conrad, could make up anything. They could tell you and blow smoke and tell you, "Oh, I'm the greatest." But I am independently monitored and documented, so nobody could ever question what I say and go, "I don't believe it." I send every pick to an independent monitoring and documentation service that has to get the pick before the game goes off and then publishes it after the game goes off so anybody can see what I gave. And those picks for the year, every NFL pick so far, 23-8. And I think it's because I do more homework than anybody else. The average guy or gal watching this podcast, they don't have time. They have a career, they have jobs. They might read the newspaper or go online and see something, but they don't have time 80 hours a week to study the games. That's what I do. And I have a crew of guys behind me, my consultants, who every week we get together 3 times a week and they throw their ideas at me. I throw my ideas at them. And then I pick the final 5 plays on Saturday and Sunday in college and pro football. So, I've got a great team behind me too, but we're all doing together hundreds of hours of homework. So you don't have to. It's all at VegasWinners.com.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to VegasWinners.com right now. Let's win some money.
Yeah, 1776. He looked like he was a
look, like, we're going to make fun of the stuff that deserves to be made fun of, but he came up in a time when like every other wrestling story was like you're either a bouncer or a former football player or a former football player who's now a bouncer, and some wrestler gets drunk after a show and sees you and goes, "You're fucking huge. You want to be a wrestler?" And look, there's a lot of guys that have that story that we didn't hear of, and there's a couple that we have, and Lex is probably one of the most successful of that. Like, holy shit, look at this guy. And yeah, like you said, the body did speak for itself. Fucking amazing physique.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're on the road to get that body where it is, it's unbelievable.
And to keep it, yeah.
And to keep it, he's what Hulk Hogan thought he looked like. Scott, what do you think about Mr. Lex Luger, the total package?
Yeah, man, maybe best bod in the biz.
Well, let's think about this for a second.
Maybe worst face along with the bod. My goodness,
Scott, we're not at the roast part yet, but who would you?
A face that looks like Jericho with his shirt off.
Scott, who would you say who's in the best body conversation?
Oh gosh, I honestly don't know. That's really tough. I don't know, because you have to consider size too, right? You like currently you'd go, oh, like Pac is really, but then he's smaller, so no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's guys like Luger and Warrior. It's all like the most roided out guys, but even that like doesn't. Then you're going like, oh, that's most muscular. That's not even best body. So I have no.
Well, Luger had a better body than Warrior. Warrior was way more roided out, I thought.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We got to give it to the.
I don't know.
One. I was gonna say, I think we got to give it to the ones who died for their bodies first.
Yeah. That's a tough answer, but yeah, I did not grow up with Lex Luger. All I knew of Lex Luger was the Intrepid moment, and then the narrative I heard, because I only watched WWE DVDs and stuff, was that he wasn't very good, and we gave him these opportunities, but he wasn't very good. But then you also kind of hear that the rug was often pulled out from under him, and he wasn't necessarily as bad as people thought. I don't know. I really don't know. All the clips I watch, I go like, he currently seems like a very, very kind person who learned from their life in wrestling, which is rare. He's not sitting there flipping out like the rest. A lot of other people that came up in wrestling during his time.
I think the best way to explain him to someone who is watching wrestling when you started is like, imagine if they gave Chris Masters a push.
Yeah. Well, you know how like the Iron Sheik is like, I'll break your back and make you humble. It's like God broke Lex Luger's back and made him humble.
So God is the Iron Sheik?
I'm just saying, like,
that is
but
very
he's a better
astute.
person because of it. He's a better person than all of these people. It's pretty amazing. I really like Lex Luger. I want to see Lex Luger in the Hall of Fame. All these good things. Yeah.
Also, genuinely smart guy. Got into Penn State, then went to the U after that.
And all the real controversies that maybe we'll get to during the roast part. I don't necessarily blame him for any of it. It's just, I don't know. You get caught up in shit.
Yeah, I mean, it was for sure a dark time. I mean, it was obviously a dark time. Kurt, Lex Luger, like Scott, is probably a little bit before your time, but what were your impressions of Lex?
Again, great body. He was before my time, but like going back, I actually think he was like one of the bright spots of WCW during that time. I mean, he wasn't the best wrestler, but he had a genuinely there was something about him. Like, I think he just had like a star quality to him. And, he seems like he's one of those people who's learned like how to be a better person. Like, I think he's Christian. I think he's one of those people where Christianity actually made him a better person, compared to where he was.
It's called the anti-Kirk Cameron.
Yeah, like
or the genuine HBK.
Yeah. Also, so the cool things I have seen of his seem to be in that time in WCW before he went to WWF. So not his second run in WCW, like that long United States title run. That was
Like
before
that NWA, yeah.
Yeah, and all the matches I've seen of that are really enjoyable. I mean, the title seemed really prestigious and important.
Well, I think those matches were, why I think those matches were so good, because I've been thinking about it a lot this week, because that's what I think about. It's like all those guys were like fucking amazing workers, like Tully and Flair and Arn, and Lex had an amazing body, and they could like work around that body. So it made Lex look like he could hang with them, and it made them look legitimate because Lex looked like an actual athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that we don't give enough credit to some of those guys in the 80s, like a Steamboat, like a Flair, like a Savage, where it's basically like motion capture, like they're like CGI, like they're just pretending to fight something. Like they're pretending to fight a good wrestler, but it really is just a piece of cardboard.
Yeah, no, it's totally true. It's there was definitely, like, I think more so than today, because today you can't really get away with being horrible, absolutely dog shit. I mean, like, yes, there's the great Khali's. Every once in a while you have somebody who's like an actual freak, but for the most part, like, you can't get away with it the same way you could get away with it back then. There aren't as many Ludwig Borgas, there aren't as many Giant Gonzaleses.
No, and I think, and Scott has said this, like, wrestling was like a circus. Like, you needed the strong man. I think in terms of the word professional and professional wrestling, like, you look at that guy and you're like, well, he deserves to be there just by looking at him. I mean, you had guys like Bobby Eaton and Arn who are great workers, but they look like the people in the crowd. Lex Luger doesn't look like anyone in the crowd, only the face, like also Scott said.
Also, the Total Package, what a great name. I don't know if there was guys before, sometimes there's just common names in wrestling and he's the most famous one, but the Total Package, Lex Luger, is an awesome name.
Well, let's get to the roast of Lex Luger. Kurt decided to go first. As a guest, we always let our guests decide where they want to go in the lineup. Take it away, Mr. Ryan.
Back in the day, Lex Luger could only come by shoving nerds in lockers. Lex Luger looks like he can only read slightly better than Psycho Sid. Lex Luger is like if you turned reliving your glory days in high school into a person. I call Lex Luger less racist Hulk Hogan. Lex Luger is the total package. If total package means no charisma, promo ability, or in-ring skill. Lex Luger sounds like the name of a Republican cosplayer. Lex Luger wrote a book called Wrestling with the Devil, which is surprisingly not about working with Hulk Hogan and WCW. That's all I got.
Kurt Ryan, everybody. Kurt Ryan. Thank you, Kurt. All right, let me go into this. The roast of Lex Luger. Lex is what would happen if Sting knew how to party. Before Lex, the torture rack was how Vince described Mae Young's tits. He now lives in Buffalo, New York, because nothing says life after wrestling like a guy in a wheelchair pulling up to Wizard World in a Bills jersey. Notice, I knew that was going to get like, notice you only find Jesus after you lose everything else. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Shnikes, free wafers. Luger's theme was Stars and Stripes Forever, which sounds like something Jericho's wife screamed when she was dragged from Nancy Pelosi's office. Stars and Stripes Forever! Put the walls up! He came up with Lex Luger from reading Superman and the Total Package off a special delivery from Dr. Zahorian. He was a good heel, but an even better butterface. He majored in marketing, but couldn't sell a thing. I'm not saying Lex was a bad talker, but he's the first wrestler to cut a promo with fentanyl. He was a Miami Hurricane, then a Green Bay Packer. If you listen closely, you can hear JR coming into his own mouth. I thought the Lex Express was the guy from Seamless who dropped off his Percocet. Him and Buff Bagwell got kicked off a flight in 2005. For the last time, sir, the Dr. Seuss hat won't fit in the overhead compartment. Lex was very influential, inspiring both born-again Christians and AEW's wellness policy. He's a trailblazer, the only WrestleMania main eventer to land in the middle of the card. People give him shit because he didn't love the business. But on the plus side, we know how well Lex loving something turned out. He's known for his tumultuous relationship with Miss Elizabeth. You got to work pretty hard to make wrestling fans say, should have stayed with the guy who chained her to a radiator. Can you imagine how many sad wrestling sales Lex's appearance on Pawn Stars inspired? Look, it's $100 for the belt he won at WrestleMania 20, but for an extra 50, I'll throw in the lat pull-down machine. In WCW, he turned face in a bunkhouse stampede battle royal, which sounds like a family reunion that becomes a gangbang. Pritchard and Vince put the title on Luger at a press conference to mess with Meltzer. Guys, you could have just found him at StarCast and dropped a bag of marbles. And finally, he was obsessed with fitness and was supposed to be the big star of the World Bodybuilding Federation. Hey, Lex, if you want to be passionate about something no one gives a shit about, why not become a WrestleRoast patron? For Christmas, we're taking on Mantar. All right, that's it for me. Mike Lawrence, everybody.
All right. Today we're roasting Lex Luger, who I'll always know as the justification of all of Randy Savage's paranoia. Poor Liz. They always save the Lex for last. I heard his favorite movie is The Lady Killers.
Oh.
Liz and him should have been eliminated at the same time, but it was an accidental overdose, not the 1994 Royal Rumble.
Oh.
He works with the WWE to help enforce their wellness policy now. How awesome that he gets paid to be a cautionary tale. It was actually, he named himself after Lex Luthor, but now looks more like the guy who played Superman. Everyone thought he was going to be the next Hogan, and instead he became the next Magnum TA. If you're too young to remember Lex Luger, just imagine Ryback, but with an even sadder life after wrestling. Seriously, if you were excited about the idea of this roast, but then started to get disappointed as it was happening, that's what it's like to be a Lex Luger fan. Vince was being hounded by the government for distributing steroids and needed a new Hulk Hogan that looked more natural. Then he gave up on that idea and pushed Lex Luger. Vince originally hired him as a bodybuilder and should have kept it that way. What mean things can you say about the guy that Vince thought wasn't as charismatic as Bret Hart? In the 90s, he was known for having a steel plate in his elbow, and now he's a complete cyborg. He always won by DQ, never a clean win. Even now, he can't beat death convincingly. Getting out of the chair and going to the bathroom takes more effort than body slamming Yokozuna.
Jesus Christ.
Seriously, though, Lex seems like a guy who genuinely changed for the better, and even if he is paralyzed for life, he's still better at stand-up than Scott Chaplin.
Oh, Mike Lawrence, look, if you want to go after a handicap guy, you got to get a handicap guy to do it. Scott Chaplin, everybody. Scott Chaplin. That was great, Mike.
Lex Luger's heel origin is, what if Lex Luthor couldn't spell his own name? He looks like Stretch Armstrong never stretched. His finisher was the torture rack, a move made popular by Jim Cornette's sexual preferences. He was kicked off the Miami Hurricanes for causing one in a hotel room. He teamed with the British Bulldog because he looks like a pug. A Luger is also what Dynamite Kid put in his wife's mouth.
Oh, Jesus Christ almighty.
What? He does look Even as a heel, Lex had a tiny face. He had a tiny face. Lex thought the steroid scandal was about him not wanting to share any. What a coincidence that the Lex Express ended when he stopped using the gas. He's the only guy where quitting steroids ruined his life. There's a legitimate decline in his life the moment he quit steroids. He left for WCW without Vince knowing. Dude, his biggest moment was on a boat, and you're surprised when he jumped ship? Also, him lifting Yokozuna on a naval ship was Vince McMahon's "If I was at Pearl Harbor, this is how it'd go." Before dating Lex, she was Miss Elizabeth. After dating him, she was Missed Elizabeth. Elizabeth was missed. And finally, for the kids, he's become wise and gentle in his old age. That plus the wheelchair, I started calling him Professor Lex. It's kind of an X-Men kind of, or I'm going to go kill myself.
Russell Lex Luger, everybody. Oh, Scott Chaplin, the perfect combo of mean jokes, and then the jump ship one. That was the grammar school one this week.
Yeah, there we
I
go.
always like to put. We should make the ones like a book of roast jokes for kids for Scott.
Yeah, that's the way I make money. That's the way I finally make an income. Yeah.
That's it.
I love that Scott's always like, what's the one joke that you could say to the wrestler on their deathbed and they still understand?
The Russell Lex Luger. But he does, I follow him on I think Twitter or Instagram, and he's, it's always like pictures of dogs and stuff, and
he seems
even
like
his
a good man.
even his political stuff, you can tell he's like conservative, but it's not like crazy, like
Yeah.
He seems like have the abortion, just don't brag about it kind of Republican.
Yeah.
I saw that he went to jail and went to fucking Cobb County, Georgia, like a real wrestling dude.
Well, that's how he found God, with the chaplain in jail.
Wow.
So
good for him.
Yeah, good for him. All right, Lex, we salute thee. Let's get to his terrible promo now. For this week's Show in Hell, it's in the signature of our show. It's one of my favorite.
All-time favorite for me, man.
All-time. It's really debatable over whether or not I get more joy from this promo or the Austin 316 and CM Punk pipe promo. Good pipe bomb, because they both like activate different joy centers in my head. Like, if you haven't seen this promo, like, nothing we're going to say on this podcast is going to be funnier than this promo. He sounds like a guy who's pissed his kids aren't appreciating Disney World the whole time. It is amazing. He's interviewed by this fat kid who's dressed like a pimp at junior prom.
I think that guy's kind of like has a name in wrestling now.
Oh, does he? I don't.
Yeah,
really...
I think so.
It's Michael PSA.
Junior, Michael PSA Junior.
Some background. He was asked about this in a shoot interview, and he goes, "Yeah, I saw it has the most views at everything I've ever done. Fucking internet." So he knows it was,
He's
horrendous.
Right.
On the plus side, Dan, his 911 call is also on the internet.
Jesus Christ. The roast part's over, Lawrence. Jesus.
Hey, also, screw the WWE.
I love like apologizing Mike. He turns into like an Italian waiter. He's like,
Mike, do you remember WWE had that confidential show?
Oh,
and
God,
they aired the
fucking
fucking 911 call. Scumbags.
Dude, that was so scummy. Like,
yeah.
That, I don't know if that's worse than Melanie on camera after Brian, but it's up there.
Dude, it is, because at least she got prime time, dude. They got confidential.
It's also funny because, like, you had to, like, it was like Mean Gene, but like he was acting like he was hosting Dateline. And
oh, so awful, man.
The whole thing
evil.
Have you ever seen this, Dan?
I have not seen it.
Dude, I'm with Scott. This was one of the grossest things they ever did, because neither Elizabeth or Luger were associated at all with the company, and they did this like really scandalous, like smutty piece, and they played the 911 call. It was just like,
well, that's no good. That's no good. But this promo, very good, very fun. It's
All timer
probably
for me. Yeah.
It's probably my It's probably my favorite bad promo ever. I think it's my favorite.
This promo is so good, bad, good that it's something I've bonded with in high school with some of my best friends who do not watch wrestling. They can quote it. They just enjoy it so much. They think it's so funny the way this promo goes. And maybe you're right. It's because it's very much a pissed off dad who just doesn't have the chops to tell you what he wants to tell you, you know? And he's so upset. He goes to pull off his shirt. The shirt doesn't rip off. He says, "Your shirts are too tight." He doesn't know the name of the pay-per-view that they're wrestling at. So it's like super Bowl. I don't know. Yeah.
God isn't sure that he's gonna get paid. That's an important part of it.
Yeah. Also, he's talking about Ron Killings, which is so cool, man. Ron Killings has been doing this forever, it feels.
Yeah, I mean, he's, I just saw a video of him, Rob Van Dam, and I guess Farouk, and Luger doing something together. They looked like they were having a fun time.
Here's the thing, Scott. Ron Killings is going to get in the WWE Hall of Fame. Lex Luger might not.
Ron Killings already is, right?
No, but he will be. I mean, one, he is great at his job, and two, like, I know him and Vince are like supposed to be like really great friends.
Yeah, and I think Lex will get there too, and I hope it's I hope it's very soon.
I don't think he will, and I think that's the company will not want to show it. They're shitty about that, but
I think they will. Dude, they just did the Luger. They just did this Luger special, and apparently the special's very good. And it has kind of it's the opposite of kind of their treatment of him in the past. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think he could get. I don't think Buff is going to get in, but I think Luger's going to get in.
Well, Buff also does Buff. I mean, just because you're a name doesn't mean you need to. Also, this isn't a real Hall of Fame, and fuck it forever. But
yeah.
But Buff Bagwell, yeah, if it's a bullshit thing anyway, no, he should not be in it. He never. What did he ever do? Sorry,
Yeah,
unless I'm wrong. I didn't watch WCW, but
he did that fun dancey thing before he flexed.
Yeah.
And remember when his mom was on a pole? That was pretty cool.
Dude, they should induct his mom. Induct Judy, but don't induct Buff. That would be fucking hilarious. What did you think of this promo, Kurt?
It just like it made my autism flare up watching it because I was just like, it made me so uncomfortable. But like it just seemed like he didn't even know where he was, like what building he was in, like what year it was. It just felt like a whole fucking disaster.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But Mike, would you say this is top 5 favorite bad promos for you, or do you think it makes the top 5? Do you think it makes top 5?
We're bearing the lead on part of what makes this one of the best. It's short. It's like all killer, no filler. It's like 1 minute and 13 seconds.
It's like a Miro promo, but the reverse.
Yeah, exactly. Every line is funny. It builds the t-shirt thing. Like, even if you've seen it 20 times, it's still funny. I mean, because there's a lot of bad promos that just fucking trail off and they're just not even entertaining anymore because they're just so boring. But this is, this is pretty great. Like, there's the Jumpin' Jeff Farmer promo. But it's like, I've never seen that guy again. I've never heard of him outside of that promo. But knowing Lex and like, this is like the downfall kind of thing of him, of the NWA, the fact that he brings reality into it with the, getting paid. The fact that the booker's name is Billy and it isn't Corgan is hilarious. Your t-shirts are too tight, Billy.
You want to match with me on the total package? I'm pissed now.
You know what's great about this promo is that you watch it as a younger person and you're laughing at him, but then you watch it as someone who's been in show business for like 15 years and you're laughing with him because we've all been Lex Luger. We've
Oh,
all
for
done,
sure. Yeah.
we've all done the Saturday Slam, Cyber Slam, or whatever it is. You know,
Or yeah, the local club promo, like that you have to like, hey, get to Rumors in Winnipeg this weekend, you know?
yeah, man. And it's like, I'm guessing a check bounced before this, and they still asked him to go do this promo.
No, I think that I will say this for Lex. Lex was not going if that check's bounced. That's the one thing about Lex.
Yeah.
That promo is like just going to be me at an open mic in 12 years when my career has gone nowhere.
Do you know the one thing I the one thing that I think is kind of great about Luger is like the thing that they burn Luger with is so dumb. It's so wrestling dumb because they're always like, yeah, Luger didn't love the business. Jim Cornette asked him what he would be doing if he had to make the money that they made when he started, and Lex said he wouldn't do it then, and everyone was like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, it's like, yeah, that's the point of being in the business is to make money, you know? It's the same reason to be in any fucking business, comedy included.
Well, here's the thing. We are now in a generation of people that grew up loving wrestling and choosing to be wrestlers. He comes from a generation when it is a fallback. Like, oh
Yeah.
shit, I tore my Achilles tendon. Like, you ever watch this? There's this movie from the 50s called Requiem for a Heavyweight. And it's Anthony Quinn and Jackie Gleason. It was written by Rod Serling, who did The Twilight Zone. And what's amazing in the movie is he's like this old prize fighter, Anthony Quinn is, and Jackie Gleason's his manager. And it ends in the saddest way, which is that he shows up in a wrestling ring and he starts wrestling because he can't fight anymore. Like, that was the view of wrestling. That was like the end of the movie was like, I think he's pretending to be like Native American. And he's got the headdress and he's like just fucking miserable out there. Like, you know, like, and I think a lot of guys came from that mentality or, you know, embarrassed about it. And in some ways, rightfully so, where now it's like, you know, yeah, you grew up watching Lex Luger, you grew up watching all these people, but yeah, there was a time when it was fucking shameful and rightfully so.
Yeah. It's come a long way, the business. It's gotten more respected, but they're making less money. So I wonder if you're a wrestler, would you rather more respect and less money or more money and less respect?
More money, less respect.
Yeah, me too. That's how we know we've been in show business for a while.
But also because, you know, your time is short often. You know, a lot of guys, even in wrestling, have to give it up in their 30s and 40s and stuff. So the money's more important.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's get to somewhere where Lex shown a little bit more, and that was we're bringing back gimmicks this week. The Narcissist versus the model Rick Martel. Unlike Pat in the past, these are both gimmicks I think are pretty good, but I think the model wins, you know, in a runaway. It's a landslide, man. I mean, I had thoroughly had a blast watching old, you know, like I'll say this about the Narcissist. You know, it's a really good gimmick. I think it's better than the All-American Luger. I like the mirrors, but you know, Rick Martel, man, with the arrogance, with all the like the fun vignettes. I thought Slick was kind of unnecessary, but you know, it's great, man. Today's arrogance, today's man in a classic can put the brakes on the mundane and accelerate into the fast lane. It was awesome, dude. And
it's fun.
It's really fun, dude. And the stuff with him and Roberts was just fantastic. The only thing that's unbelievable about Roberts is, you know, that like whatever he sprayed from a can into Jake wouldn't be toxic to him, you know. Like he'd be like, yeah, this was my Tuesday. But
also, Jake back then just walked like he always had a blindfold on.
And it's just kind of funny because he's from, I think they bill him from God, where do they bill him from?
Cocoa Beach.
Cocoa Beach, even though he's got the most fucking like a French Canadian accent that sometimes becomes Iranian. I would say Martel. Mike, do you like the Martel gimmick better, model gimmick, or the narcissist?
Yeah, these are two different cases, and these gimmicks both worked in a way. I mean, I think the model is one of the classic ones, but the model was a rebranding. Martel had been there in the WWE and obviously in other places for a long time, and a lot of people are like, oh well, Vince would give people these cartoony gimmicks and shit and ruin them. Like, no, the model made him better. He was in Strike Force and he turned heel on Tito, and he kind of needed something to break out a little bit, and this was that. He was always featured on shows and programs and stuff. And then, Luger is the other side of it, where Luger comes in for the first time into the WWF, and Vince has to make him his own. And like, you're gonna be the. I also love that they always said narcissist, even though it's supposed to be narcissist. But it's just like Ian keeps saying narcissist, and I will say this: I felt he was more comfortable in this gimmick than American Hero. Lex Luger, at least felt more natural in a way. But yeah, I think the model is one of the classic gimmicks of all time, and definitely Rick Martel. I mean, I know the Hall of Fame's dumb, but I think it does matter to a lot of these guys. Rick Martel, like top 5 people that isn't in but totally should be.
I think he's going to be in. I think who texted me this week? Was it one of you guys?
I think it was me. Maybe because Triple H talked to him. I mean, dude, because also Rick, like, I think he's real estate dude. Like he legit got out of the business and had a completely second life and career. So good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, what do you got? Rick, what do you think is the better gimmick? Rick, the model Martel, or the narcissist?
Yeah, from again, I didn't watch these guys, but from what the clips I've seen, Rick Martel is at least fun.
Yeah.
And the narcissist is just there's a lot of guys who that wasn't the first time that was a gimmick, so I can't even say there was knockoffs of that I've seen, because that's probably a knockoff of something.
Yeah, I mean
that's just pro wrestling, that gimmick. You know?
Yeah, Mr.
So
Wonderful.
It's everybody. Yeah.
I mean, Ric Flair is a version of that gimmick.
Exactly.
Without the body.
Yeah.
We're all narcissists.
Yeah. Rick, the mirrors would crack. Kurt, what did you?
Scott, you're right. It's like you sleep in a tanning bed and you dye your hair. You're a fucking narcissist.
Yeah, dude, Sheamus did an interview this week, and he said he is the first person ever in WWE to have never tanned when he showed up there. That everybody in the locker room was like, we all tan, and he was the only one that was like, no, I don't do that. Anyway,
trying to think, is there anyone? I mean, Taker. But he eventually.
No, I saw Taker with some tans. Yeah.
Dude, it's
and
like
he usually wore it like you'd only see his arms. But Sheamus is out there in the tighty whities kind of.
Dude, Sheamus's new wife is beautiful.
Shut up, Dan.
Kurt, the narcissist or the model Rick Martel? Which gimmick did you prefer?
Like everyone else said, the model. Rick was just like I just think he played the character a little bit better. Like, I just think he had better in-ring skills too. Like, he was a great worker who could make the gimmick work in the ring a lot better than Lex Luger could. And he just was like, he was a lot of fun. Like, it was before my time, but like I when I like discovered that gimmick, I was like, the wrestling was funner to watch back then because of like characters like that they had. And that was like one of the funner characters, I think.
Yeah, I agree. He's I didn't like him as a kid, but I didn't like him for the right reasons,
But Kurt, now you have characters like Christian, the stay-at-home dad who doesn't want to stay at home.
Well, perfect transition to Dynamite or Dud. We're reviewing this week's Dynamite, baby. The August 4th, 2021 edition. Homecoming edition of Dynamite, headlined by Malachi Black and Cody Rhodes. In the first hour, we'll review this hour by hour. First hour, we have the third labor of Jericho versus Juventud Guerrero, a segment of Penta and Andrade backstage, a segment with Dark Order and Adam Page backstage, Kingston, Moxley, and Darby versus Matt Lee and Jeff Parker, formerly Everrise, and Daniel Garcia, backstage segment with the Elite. Christian Cage versus The Blade, and an in-ring promo with Britt Baker and Red Velvet. What did you think of this first hour? We'll start with Scotty. What did you think of the first hour?
I really enjoyed it. Okay. I mean, it's, if I break down the first hour, it's like that first minute or two of the juicy one versus Jericho, Juventud versus Jericho. It was a bit botchy, for sure. And then I got really into it and I had fun with it. And then it ended quick. But I was kind of okay with that because I don't want to see them wrestle long. Mike texted a great point that I'm sure he's going to bring up. And I do agree with you, even though I think that finish was an awesome visual. I mean, he should do that more often. The top rope, what Judas. Judas effect. What they called it, the Super Judas effect. It looked great. It looked really great. So more of that. It was a quick, cool match, and you get to say Juventud. I mean, there was moments in the match where it really clicked, and it felt like them,
Yeah.
But then there was very obvious moments where they felt like their age. But that's fine. It was a cool way to start the show, I thought.
Yeah, I don't know. I was fine with the top rope Judas effect just because I was so nervous he was going to try to moonsault or like something like a swanton or something that could have ended like a nightmare.
Well, he's been doing those top rope Frankensteiners the last few weeks, so you assume it's going to be that. So I'm glad it wasn't that. I thought it was cool.
Dude, Jericho needs to kind of hide his stuff a little bit better. Like, Flair had a lot of really good matches at the end. What comes to mind? Obviously, the Michaels match comes to mind. The match with Triple H, the match with Edge on Raw when they had the ladder match. But I think the reason those matches were so good was that Flair tried to do about half the moves that Jericho tried to do. And Jericho is he's like trying a little bit too, try too hard, Jay. It's just,
I don't know about that. I mean, if he was trying, he wouldn't look like he looks. But you're right. There is like
and moveset wise, I'm not talking about body. I'm talking
but
about
I think the moveset has gotten better. Like I keep going back to the Shawn Spears match because I think that was the first time I noticed 4 or 5 different moves he just pulled off randomly. I think that's cool. I just wish he physically gave a shit more because that does matter. At least when you're aging and you go like, you got fucking Edge on the other show looking like goddamn Logan.
Right. Mike, what did you think of this match?
I thought this match was, it was fine. So my criticism, I thought that the finish itself was great. I just thought that it was a little rushed where if the whole point is that he's got to hit a thing off the top rope, he hits the Judas effect on the ground, and that doesn't count because he's got to do the stiff, and then immediately takes Hoovy out with a second one. I think that it just should have been a little more arduous for him. I think that Hoovy should have like reversed or got it out of a few top rope maneuvers after that, and then you went with the super. So I would have just like given 3 more minutes of this of Jericho desperately, maybe he physically can't climb the turnbuckle more than he did, but I just felt like it was a little abrupt. Like, well, I can't win this way. I'll just win this way. And that was kind of
stupid. I hear you. It was. And then you have him facing Wardlow as the final thing before he gets to face him. And it's like, well, Cody had to face Wardlow in a steel cage to get to you, So there's those issues. But I mean, it's, I did enjoy it. I thought it was
wait,
cool.
Scott.
What?
Does he have to do 5 labors and then MJF, or is MJF?
I think MJF is the 5th labor, but I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I wonder if they're going to do that on Dynamite or on the pay-per-view.
They'll do Jericho and MJF on the pay-per-view.
I would assume. Yeah, but yeah, that's true. And then you got like 3 weeks to continue building this, thing that has been going on forever. Yeah.
What did you think about this match, Kurt?
I dug it. At first, it took me a while to get into it because I was like, "Oh shit, are they going to be botching like the whole entire match?" Yeah. And then it got going once they got their groove in the middle, and then I dug the finish as well. I actually think that move is very cool. Like that's one thing about Chris Jericho is usually he comes up with like cool new finishers that always look pretty cool, and I'm always like impressed when he can get like a finishing move I haven't really seen before over. I'm like, oh, that's a cool looking move. I always liked his finisher, so yeah, I dug the match. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I just when Jericho just kind of fell on Juventud to get in the walls of Jericho, I was kind of like, ugh, man, that move would have looked so good on Nitro in '96. Like I just kept having moments like that during the match. But
Yeah, but there's something nice about that. I don't know. I thought it was cool. It was a good match.
Something that's not cool, I think we'll probably all agree with this, is what the fuck is this Andrade program? Like,
I don't mind the program. It's just let Chavo talk for him, unless you again make it super short and sweet.
Don't we already know that Penta's not joining Andrade? Wasn't this just kind of like a less climactic version of what they did last week?
Well, so what exactly was the layout? It was this week. Pac didn't fly in, as opposed to, and it was their fault. Oh, and then he beat Fuego at the end of the show, which I loved. He beat up Fuego. I did like
cool.
that.
Yeah, I did
that
like
was
that.
Great. And then you have these two moments of Fuego getting beat up on TV, where now all of a sudden you're rooting for this guy to have a moment eventually, which is cool. But yeah, I just think they're waiting for that trios thing. I have a feeling Roosh is coming with like Laredo Kid. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and maybe Andrade's gonna fight all of them one-on-one. I have no idea. It just feels like something they're gonna get to and haven't yet. I don't mind this at all. I don't mind what happened tonight, and I thought the Fuego thing was cool. It's just the Andrade thing. You haven't explained who that other guy is with next
so
to
weird.
Chavo. And I do like the idea of like, but again, establish this idea where it's like I have a guy for everything. This guy hands me my keys. This guy hands me my shoes. Like. But give us that, oh, this guy follows me around and does bullshit while Chavo. I don't know what that guy does, but I don't hate it at all. I think that whatever matches we're going to get, whatever variation of matches we're going to get are the matches we're going to want to see Andrade have. And all of those guys have. You want to see every single one of these dudes fight each other.
Kingston, Moxley, Darby versus Matt Lee, Jeff Parker, and Danny Garcia. Do you think any of these guys on the opposing team earn their way into an AEW contract tonight? I'm going to say that I thought Matt Lee made Eddie Kingston look great. I thought he had some nice moments. The other guys, not so much. I didn't really see a lot of sizzle on that steak, but
Danny?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not.
Dude, him and Darby were awesome together.
Yeah, I know. It's just he just doesn't stick out for me,
No, man, that was a super fun match. My guess is you didn't have your volume up enough.
Okay, yeah.
Turn that volume up all the way, dude. Next thing you know, you're in Daly's place.
Mike, do you think any of these guys earned a contract?
No, because of the way they were presented. I thought that this was more detrimental to your established stars to take this long to beat these guys. The little promo they did at the beginning wasn't very impressive. I mean, the match itself was fine, and it's like, yeah, you could have that, but if Darby's going to go against Punk in a few weeks, it shouldn't take 10 minutes to beat jabronis that you've never had on the show before. Like,
nah, man, they're not jabroni. There's no such thing as a jabroni anymore. Wrestlers are wrestlers, and everybody has their own abilities and capabilities. And just because a match is, whoever won. Darby Allin won. Okay, people turn on the channel, right? They see Darby Allin pin a guy and then celebrate with former Dean Ambrose and fucking Sting, and they go, this guy rules. Who's he fighting next? And maybe it's CM Punk. We don't know. But if it is, that's cool.
And hopefully it's not more of these guys. It's just
no, they did great.
There's no story. It's just not interesting.
Let Mike talk, Scott. Mike, let Mike talk. Jesus.
I'm not a sports guy. I don't need to see athletic competition for the sake of it, especially in a fake program that's written. I'd rather see stars against stars and programs and stuff. And I feel like there are certain talent that should not get a picture-in-picture and new guys. I don't think Lee Johnson should have gotten against Miro either. Like, I should believe that Miro can beat him in any moment and that it wouldn't happen during a commercial break. That's what I think.
Wrestling Karen.
Did you just call him Wrestling Karen?
Yes.
You're such a baby,
He's
Scott.
calling the cops on Dynamite right now
Oh, come on.
for partying too loud in a trios match.
Just because I said I wasn't a fan of a Garcia and a Johnson tonight.
I thought the
I
stuff.
also hated Christian in the Blade. You happy?
No.
My problem with Christian in the Blade. I thought the match was fine, but why beat him with a spear, man? Like, it's just like what's you want us to forget about Edge? Have us forget about Edge.
Don't. Why have a B show if this is what you're putting on your A show?
I was not. I can't defend this match. It wasn't that great, but better than the promo coming up. But the match was fine. The Britt Baker promo was, I kind of was expecting more from it just because I think she's so great, and they brought out Red Velvet to like. It just feels like they dust these wrestlers off after getting like 20 wins and then bring them out. And
it's a problem.
It does at times. I'm like, come on, man. Nobody. I'd rather just have Britt Baker cut a promo like for that entire time than have just announce that Red Velvet's going to go against her. Like, instead of trying to make her look like a real threat.
Also, it's Britt Baker's hometown match. At least throw Red Velvet on television like a few times in the last few weeks.
Yeah,
it's an error. It's an error.
Have Red Velvet wear the color red when she comments on someone else not being able to pull it off.
I didn't know Snoop Dogg had a rosé though called 19 Crimes, which that was my big.
I will say this about the rankings though, and her saying like I'm number, I've beaten this many women, whatever, and you go, Jesus Christ, I didn't see any of that, And I do agree that you need to see some of it, even if it's just in video packages or something. Or just have her at least cut a promo last week, and then this week she does another thing. But I think what that is it's a young company, and you got to make up. You have to like. Instead of just inventing matches, which they honestly could do, even though they're just making content, just like write down fake. Oh, they had these matches. They happened on fucking Honolulu. Shut up,
All right. Let's get to the second hour.
Let's keep going.
I just wanted to quickly say that it's funny to me because Britt did this as a heel, right? Where she wanted to fight Sheeta for the title, and she was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna beat a bunch of jobbers on." The dark shows, Elevation and Dark, like that was her purposeful intent. I'm going to build myself in the rankings by squashing scrubs, and now everyone else does it, but they're baby faces.
Yeah. But I will say this: Britt was awesome in this.
Yeah,
she was okay. I mean, she's awesome. So,
I thought she was very good in this.
I like her all the time. I wish they kind of gave her a little bit more to say. Second hour, we have the Fuego del Sol Andrade, the Elite confront Hangman Page, Miro, Lee Johnson, Christian backstage singing Golden Girls. The America's Top Team guy was back. Layla Hirsch versus the Bunny, which with an appearance from Camille Brickhouse and Cody versus Malachi Black. I'm going to start off by just saying, let's start with the main event first. I thought it was, the main event exactly was what it needed to be. For the story they were telling, I was a little bit upset that they didn't have more time, but if you're going to tell a squash, they told a great squash. And I thought the Wendigo entrance was awesome. I also really like the fact that they're like, keep cutting QT every show. It's kind of like a fun thing. Like QT kind of gets his character. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's true. And I thought, at the end of, Malachi Black taking out Cody was great. What did you think of this, Mike?
The main event, I thought was awesome. I didn't love the Cody promo. because it was very Cody. It was so Cody, where all the attention was on him. I like that. I am a fan that they stuck the landing and made it still about Black, because that should be the whole point of this, is to get Malachi over. And I thought, this, we watched a lot of matches tonight where we easily knew what the conclusion was, and this did feel like exciting in a way, like, oh shit. And it really put over Malachi's finisher of just like, oh fuck, this thing is devastating. I just think that Cody is so self-indulgent and so up his own ass, and so he has to always tell the fans that he's the reason they're there, where like the other guys who are the reason they're there just entertain you and do wrestling and fun character work. It's just a little bit like him about to cry. It just happens a lot. And
he does cry a lot. He's taking Ric Flair's spot as far as easy cry.
Yeah, it's a little tedious to me, especially because the end of the match and him taking the boots off felt like the thing you do after the end of a feud, but this literally like just happened a couple weeks ago. Like the dude kicked Arn, you got mad, and now you're gonna retire. It's fucking stupid.
Well, no, I wasn't looking at it as, oh, he lost the match, he's retiring. I mean, it's that on top of he's lost a bunch of matches, on top of he's got a kid now, on top of we know he is filming this, 2 shows, his reality show and the Go Big show or whatever is filming its new season, like starting next week or something. So you do have this moment of like, oh, is he dipping? Is he going to go try to make things? It felt like they were trying to create a real moment of him actually retiring. And you go, oh, wow, maybe he would leave. And then Malachi Black fucking whacks him in the back with which whose crutch is that? That's what I wasn't sure of.
Was it Reba's? Was Reba still there?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I don't know, but I thought there was something great about that it was this typical Cody thing, and then it was like, no,
Scott,
shut the fuck up. He's talking about all these newcomers coming in and things are changing, this and that, and he's trying to have this retirement moment, and now he doesn't get to retire. He has to come back eventually.
Scott, what did you think of the latest chapter in the Elite saga?
It's symbolic. He's got one foot in, one foot out, I'm
sorry, what, Mike?
I said, let's ask Kurt what he thought of the main event.
Yeah, Kurt, what do you think?
I thought the main event, I thought it was a good match, and it told the story it needed to tell, and it did what it was supposed to do. I dug it.
Are you a Malachi Black fan?
Sorry.
Are you a fan of Malachi Black? Like, were you a fan of Alistair and shit?
It was okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a big fan of his. So even seeing him, he felt like a star to me. Does it? I don't know if it translates for everybody.
It translates for me. I mean, I love the entrance, and again, it's just
I even remember
where
in
does this
moments,
guy end up? It's like there's only so many spots on this roster. So
that's the thing where he's got to get a loss of. I mean, there's going to be a lot of guys where that's another thing about having this new company where there's these new people. It's like who can afford a loss? And the answer is kind of nobody. So but dude, they've pulled it off. It's interesting.
Scott, what did you think of the latest chapter in the Elite storyline tonight?
Oh, I thought it was great. I thought the backstage thing was a blast. They all work as a goofy ass unit. Omega wearing the Cookie Monster shirt because CM, and CM Punk saying that the CM stood for Cookie Monster.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, and Gallows wearing the Ric Flair robe. Like, they're just saying like, hey, who's coming? Just being absolute dumbasses. And then I thought the Hangman thing was great. It's like I said, he needs to go at it alone, and he told them. And, last year he told the Elite he needed to go at it alone, and they hated him for it. They got mad at him, and, that's part of the reason they hate him. Nick Jackson brought it up maybe last week or the week before, where he was like, you wanted out, whatever. They wouldn't let him out of the Elite. That was, a big story for however long. And then he told the Dark Order, like, hey, I need to go it at my own. And they were upset about it, but they respected it, unlike the Elite, because they're real friends. And then he got his fucking ass kicked by them, by the Elite, which I thought was awesome. I thought Omega's been killer on the mic lately. Because at first, there was moments for sure in AEW when he wasn't. But I think the last few weeks, he's knocked it out of the park. I thought this week he at least did for sure. Yeah, I thought it was a great segment. I mean, obviously, when the Dark Order runs out, you go, no, you fucking fight all the guys. You don't just actually listen to what he told you to do, but you got to listen to, he's got to learn. It's like, also, he was like a little drunk backstage, you could tell in that segment. And it's like, dude, let him take his fucking lumps. It's that scene in the movie where the drunk guy gets his ass kicked and now he's all alone. He's got to learn. It was cool. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. It was definitely, I liked it better than Christian singing Golden Girls, for sure.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to it right now.
I wanna give a thought on that.
Yeah, guys.
So my thought on this, I thought this actually did really work. There was a couple things that I didn't like, and Scott, maybe you'll agree, maybe you'll disagree. One, I don't think Kazarian should have been in this segment. This is about Paige and the Dark Order. If that's the story you're telling, him just randomly popping up.
Well, he's the Elite killer, though.
Yeah, but he hasn't really.
He hasn't really killed anybody, though. I agree with Mike.
Yeah, it just felt like you're diluting a little bit.
He's been fighting with them the last
point of like trying to get him over too, but just focus on Paige and the Elite. Like I just thought that it just made it a little like less special. And then the other thing is, for the amount that this company uses blood, it's weird that they don't do it in beatdowns.
Right. No, that's a great point. Well,
also, and I feel like the 5 against 1, these guys are assholes. I agree. Kenny's been great. I felt like this was the first night in a long time Callis wasn't there, which the continuity nerd in me is like, well, where is he? If he should be there, he should be there. But he also isn't needed.
Being indicted.
But Kenny is good enough. And I think Kenny's even better than Callis on the mic. So it's not missed that much. I think you can kind of lose Callis if you want. I mean, they should write him off or explain it. But my only complaint was Kazarian completely unnecessary to this. If you're simply telling the story of the Dark Order coming out and then leaving, and then this other random jack off, like,
well, no, you're also telling the story of the Elite, cannot be stopped. They're running amok. Who will stop them? Daniel Bryan Danielson?
But let me ask you this. Do you think that the segment was made better by him?
I do, because it caused a sense of hopelessness, and I think that's important.
Yeah.
Because somebody has to stop these guys.
They gave him the Magic Killer, though. That's pretty fucking hopeless,
Well, what? Yeah, I know. They beat his ass. That's
I know, but it should have just kind of ended on Hangman. I thought it was already ended in a hopeless way. That's what I was saying. I don't know if you need to be a weed killer.
Unless Kazarian's going to factor into the big program that you're going to tell, why put him in it, is my thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's again, you guys are going to go, what the fuck? But I believe they're in an Impact match this week. I think
Wait, just one moment, Scott. What the fuck?
I believe it's Kazarian. Oh man, I should really look it up. But it's like Kazarian, Chris Sabin, and somebody else versus the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega.
The one thing that I was kind of like, first off, they should change Bunny's name to 925 because she's always wrestling at the 925 markets. It is always there. And Camille Brickhouse looks like such a fucking star that it was like, I don't know, it kind of made like a lot of everybody else in the division, whether it be, like I like the fact Camille Brickhouse is there. I like the fact that, like they recognize other promotions and things like that. But when you see her and you see this star, people, and I think Layla Hirsch has a lot of upside. I like them back and forth, but people like Red Velvet and the Bunny, they just don't like stack up for me. Am I being too harsh here, Kurt?
I don't think so. I agree. Like Red Velvet is just kind of like to me. And then you put Bunny next to real, and you're right. It kind of is like, I don't, I'm not excited about this matchup. Like it. I felt the same way. It kind of did nothing for me. I was like, ugh.
Normally, the bunny looks like something me or Kurt would just squeeze to death.
I thought my highlight of this hour was Miro selling in that Lee Johnson match. I thought him selling that DDT was fantastic. It reminded me of like the action Kurt Russell movie where the big guy gets hit and he finally stumbles.
And I still say legit Layla Hirsch is one of the worst names in wrestling because it's literally, she's real. This is fake. Aren't they all legit?
She is awesome though. She's
great.
Like
I just take the word legit out.
Yeah.
I would call her actually real Layla Hirsch.
Oh, all right, folks. Well, that was we brought back Dynamite. We're going to be going back to reviewing Dynamite every week. So next week we'll be covering Dynamite again, Dynamite or dud. But I'd be remiss if I didn't get everybody's high spot and low spot of the week. Start out with high spots. I have a tie. One of them is in the world of wrestling. One of is something that happened outside the world of wrestling, but was very wrestling-esque. Sasha's return on SmackDown was really well done. They told an entire story over the 2 hours. You didn't want to see him tease it out, but Bianca Belair kind of having that little sister thing with her was really great, and I thought the turn was really great at the end. And one of my favorite UFC post-match speeches happened this past Saturday night. Sean Strickland got on the mic and said, good to be here. If I wasn't here, I'd probably be in jail or cooking meth right now. And I was like, God damn, man, that's like the most honest thing I've ever heard a fighter say. The event, the fight itself was really good. But that to me, I was like, oh man, that's a real shoot. We talk about a wrestling shoot. That's a real promo shoot. What was your high spot this week, Mike?
I'm gonna say that my high spot. I'm gonna make Scott happy here, and I'm gonna say the elite confrontation in the sense that it feels like a big program. I think that you really want to see what happens next, and I think that with Punk coming, with Bryan potentially coming, it's still really important to have a lot of focus on your homegrown guys. I mean, I think did we all just agree not to talk about the idea that Christian's going to be challenging for the world title because we don't give a shit?
I mean, we brought up Golden Girls for a little bit, but it was just so painful. I think none of us really chimed in. Man. But it was just like, the thing is, the problem with making fun of Christian is Christian's good in the ring. He's good on the mic sometimes, but he seems like a really good guy. So it's not fun to make fun of him, but that was fucking brutal.
He felt very present. I'll say that. But when a really nice guy feels present, so he starts trying to be funny and you just go, oh yeah, man, you're a good dude.
Yeah, but the thing is, him and Edge are funny together, but it's like watching Garth without Wayne.
Yeah. He's the totally reeks part.
The thing too is that,
or Michael Myers without Dana Carvey.
The thing too is that Edge has that other side to him. When Edge goes like, "This is really important to me," when he gets really serious, it's believable. Christian doesn't have that. Christian might be the most Canadian wrestler that's ever wrestled. I'm okay just going out there.
Heel Christian isn't bad. He's not bad.
Heel Christian's good. I mean, Mike, last night I couldn't sleep, so I was going through my year-end awards for WrestleRoasts.
I thought you were going to say last night I couldn't sleep, so I watched some Christian matches.
But I realized my favorite single promo this year, besides that one that Miro just put on Twitter, was Edge right before WrestleMania when he kind of turned heel for just one show and he just talked about I dreamt it. It was so fucking great. And
he's got a genuine passion that is connecting. And look, I thought that Christian's heel run in 2011 was really good. The stuff with Orton and shit like that. I think the guy is really talented. I just don't like the way he's presented now, and I especially don't want to see him against Kenny in a pay-per-view program.
Kurt, what was your high spot in wrestling this week?
I'm gonna say the Elite confrontation too. I like that story, and I thought it was the best story of the program. Like I thought it was really well done. Like it was just probably my favorite thing about wrestling this week too.
Scott, is it going to be 3? Is it going to be 3 out of 4 for this Elite?
No, but it's something AEW involved. I mean, they sold out the United Center, dude. They pretty much sold out during the pre-sale, but obviously held off on some tickets, and then they put out those tickets on Monday and they sold out. So they're doing the United Center. We're gonna definitely do an episode on it because CM Punk is for sure debuting.
Yeah.
Or dude, this is like some people's, people are still coming out, we're out, but this is going to be a lot of people's first wrestling shows and they're coming to see CM Punk, after a while of being inside. If he's not there, they're burning the building down.
What was your low spot this week, Mr. Chaplin?
I didn't like, I guess I'll say I didn't like Bray Wyatt being fired because I also didn't like that Ronda Rousey tweet.
Wait a second.
What?
You have had more problems with The Fiend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, The Fiend.
Than even John Cena when he was trapped in the Firefly Funhouse.
Who ruined The Fiend? And I've been saying this the whole time. I've never had a problem with Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt's a creative dude. I don't think he's a director or anything, but I think he's super creative and he thought up to ideas that had so much potential and they were ruined completely. And I hated that Ronda Rousey tweet, even if it's because she's coming back, you used someone's firing to come off like a heel because you're eventually returning. That's fucking corny. But even if she meant it, Ronda Rousey, for those listening, if they don't know, she posted a tweet, something about, oh, you fans chanting that you wanted volleyballs or whatever, or beach balls during Bray Wyatt's entrances are the reason he's fired or whatever. And now you're wishing he wasn't fired. Some dumb shit like that. Like we weren't cheering for him forever. And then when it started sucking, we said it sucked because it sucked. It's not his fault. So that really bothered me that people don't take the one extra step to think and realize, oh, it's not Bray that these people disliked. It was the creative.
Mike, what was your low spot this week?
Well, I think Scott perfectly set up this week's Twitter question. So should I do that?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So the Twitter question this week was when Bray Wyatt enters AEW, what is, Excalibur's got to be the one. That's blank. So we are doing, what's the name that Excalibur's going to say? Because we know JR is just going to say his WWE name, but what's Bray Wyatt's new name going to be? So here are some answers, our favorite ones. At Smarknado1, it's Wyndham damn near killed him Rotunda. Dropped Cody with newly renamed Sister Abigail, now called the Aunt Linda. At Chom1,
Aunt Linda sounds like Linda Hogan in a haunted house.
Or Linda McMahon, who makes any house she's in haunted. At Chom1AK, WWE Creative Issue number 7. At C Duran. When I knew him years ago, he was Bray Wyatt, but for some reason I already know that he wants to be referred to as Flapjack Mulligan. At the Burt 88. At the Burt 88, debuts in a John Wayne Gacy style lucha mask, now known as Depresso El Fato, the sad sadistic clown. At Willie Chuck Jr., Pudge Dreads. At Just 10 Mountain, Wyndham Wyatt Esquire, WWE. He's now a sophisticated Connecticut businessman who talks down to everyone and makes terrible decisions. That's likely. At MMA Locks, Bray's Diet. At Movie Guy, I guess. BBQT Marshall. At Doomed User, Flan St. Germain. At Chat Mannequin, Cody's next 2.5 star match. At Bertlin 19, Infidelity Rotunda. And at Mizuho AMVS, Excalibur says, that is a man I wrestled 15 years ago in insert random location here. That was Wyndham Rotunda, but that man standing in the ring, that's not Wyndham Rotunda anymore. That's Malachi Wyatt.
Oh man,
Flan
Saint Germain. I may start making T-shirts. Whoever came up with that.
I apologize to who wrote that. If it was supposed to be Flan Saint Germain.
Flan Saint Germain. Flan Saint Germain. No, you got to say Flan.
Yeah. So my low spot is going to be the release of Ric Flair, because
he asked to be released though.
Yes. Which makes me feel like he's ready to die, and that is sad. It's been a couple days. This is the longest that Ric Flair has not been employed by a wrestling company ever. And I'm genuinely concerned. Like, Ric Flair's the one guy who's like, I want to just go home and be with my family. And you're like, is there something wrong with you, sir? So I hope that he's okay. We had the health scare a couple years ago. He's always fun when he is around. We love Rick. One of the best ever. Me and Dan were supposed to roast him. That fell through. I'd still love to do that someday.
This just more becomes about our career. I'm still unavailable this weekend.
Yeah, well, Ric Flair has to get released and I can't get a fucking job. But no, Flair's Flair. Hopefully he just is asking for, because he wants to be off the road. I hope that's the case.
Dude, that's for sure not the case.
That's not the case.
Dude, no one's talking about this, but last week AEW was in Charlotte. And JR, like in the afternoon, posted a photo of 2 drinks and him with a guy's hand who had Hall of Fame rings on it. It's Ric Flair. JR was with Ric Flair. JR was like, you got to see how they treat us. He was like, can I get my fucking DS? Do you know?
Yeah. And earlier today, Ric Flair's son-in-law was in Charlotte. So
yeah, dude, you got Arn there. You got Tully. It's perfect for him. Tony will probably pay him more. And so apparently, and I don't know how much I believe this, but it's what everybody's saying, is that Ric Flair called Vince or texted Vince Sunday night to complain about Charlotte's booking. She's been in the main event like every Raw this month, and then was like, well, you know what, then I'm leaving. What a bullshit way to break up with someone, like that's he met a new girl on Wednesday in Charlotte, and then like had to call his girlfriend and be like, act like she started a fight and be like, I can't do this anymore, bitch. Just so he could hang out with Arn.
Scott, we know for a fact that Ric Flair has never slept with one person and then broke it off with another person. So it's not true. He got caught.
Kurt,
Horseman reunion, man.
Kurt, what was your low spot this week?
I would say the Bray Wyatt thing definitely was a low point, but hopefully, he'll do better things. But yeah, that was definitely the lowest point for me this week.
Do we want him in AEW, guys?
Yeah.
If I'm Impact, I try to get Bray because, yes, absolutely. Because, remember, Impact was at its hottest when they had the whole House of Hardy thing. So, let Bray be head of creative at Impact. Have him do whatever the fuck he wants over there. So it'd be interesting at least. I think he'd do fine at Kurt. I think Kurt just dropped off. I think he would do fine there, but yeah, it's a little it's a little crowded right now. I would definitely wait for a while to bring him in. I just think that the most you can do with the supernatural gimmick in 2021 is kind of what they're doing with Malachi Black, where it's like supernatural, but he's still a shoot kickboxer. Like we don't need Lily on AEW. That's what I'm trying to say.
Spooky powers and shit.
Oh
Spooky
no,
powers.
but again, he's a creative guy. If he comes up with a cool idea, like look, he can't be the Fiend because he'd be wearing he has to have Bray Wyatt's face on AEW. He's not gonna be wearing a mask. Because then just get any guy, what the fuck's the point of getting him? So it would be him if he's gonna do it, but I think he's probably gonna take a break for a while and then like end up back in WWE. That's my guess. I know they let him go, and I mean I could see him quitting wrestling altogether, but yeah, if AEW makes the right offer, it could work. Anything could work, especially because again, a lot of these guys I think are only going to be working for AEW so often because they will also be working in other companies. I think a lot of these guys will be working like 4 places.
You think someone like Punk will?
I think he'll do New Japan maybe, yeah.
I don't know, man, because it's like I feel like your top guys, you should probably be like you could only see him here. I think for whatever money Punk's getting, he should be one of those guys. But
I hear you, but I also think a part of negotiations is you do what he wants. And I know he said he wanted to fight Ospreay, but then there's also always the chance, there's a working relationship with New Japan. Have Ospreay come over eventually when he's healed up and all those things. So.
It'll be interesting to see where Punk lands within the company and outside of the company.
Sorry,
no
my
worries.
internet.
No worries.
Went completely off.
No
All
worries,
good, brother.
So I have 2 low spots. One of them is my genuine low spot of the week. One is not really a low spot, but my low spot for the guy. And my low spot for the guy was this past Monday Night Raw, Akira Tozawa screaming ninja power
Brother,
in
that
the
was
middle
rough,
of the
man.
ring to silence afterwards. Like you could hear a pin drop. And I mean, his soul left his body because he gave it his all. And it's just a situation where he shouldn't have given it his all. Like he should have given like 10%. I don't know. Have you seen this, Mike? You're going to.
Yeah. I saw this match. His soul left his body, and just about every wrestler in New Japan stayed in New Japan. Because I mean, this is what we make fun of. This is like, when people are like, "Are you being stereotypical? Are you being over the top?" Like, no. In 2021, Vince has a guy going ninja power, which I didn't even commit. Like, I started to commit to the voice, and I was like, I can't do that.
Well, he didn't. He didn't really even do ninja shit afterwards,
No, and but I will say, secret high spot. I kind of like Reginald now.
Dude, yeah. Oh, yeah. Reggie.
No, I like Reggie. I'm just saying the ninja power.
Oh no, it's terrible. I was just saying this is a different thing I was thinking of, but like for a guy that I've goofed on and like, what's he doing? Because I love, you could tell they're actually pushed when they drop the accent, like Kingston and Lana for a time. When it's like, I'm actually from St. Louis. I just pretended to be French to make money. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we've all been there.
But I mean, here's the thing about Reginald. Reginald is the dude who, if I took my wife to a wrestling show, that's the guy she's gonna remember. If you take kids to a wrestling show, like the flips and stuff that he does are genuinely amazing. I know that the second Sin Cara Hunico was like trying to feud with him over who flipped in the ring first.
I know.
In the greatest Twitter fight of all time. But dude, I mean, Reginald now serves a purpose, man. Reginald's a dude who, like, if you went to a house show and he came out for 5 minutes and did flips, and man, he's the hardest fighting 24/7 champion, man. He's having actual match.
Well, I mean, they kind of got rid of the 24/7 gimmick. It's not 24/7 anymore. But Reginald is the gobbledygooker done right. That's what Reginald is. It's like a fun thing for the whole family.
And the matches aren't really matches. They're Aladdin running away from the from those guys, you know.
Yes, that's what it is.
He's one step in front of the hitman. They're not even matches. It's so fun.
The matches aren't matches. They're Young Bucks versus Lucha Brothers matches, but with this one guy doing everything.
But my true low spot this week was, I don't know, I sent it to Scott and Mike today, but Ryback entered the WWE announcer competition as a joke, and he tries to like make fun of Paul Heyman. He also makes fun of Cena for the China thing, but it's brutal, man. It's just like a guy in his room, like. You know, like it's just nobody wants to really see it. And, you know, I love like shoot stuff. I think it's funny when wrestlers go after companies that used to employ them. But this is like, you're going after the company that used to employ you, like with a sweepstakes the company is running. Like it's the least badass thing in the world to do.
And you know what? I'm gonna fucking show McDonald's for the years they were shitty to me, and I'm gonna win that monopoly.
It's so crazy.
I need is one boardwalk, baby.
Yeah,
I got 20 park places.
I don't know, man. It's just like, you know, like I left watching that promo being like, you know, I like corporate America. You know, like, I like the big guy.
Here's the thing, Dan.
Not the big guy Ryback, the actual corporate big guy.
The last 6 years of Ryback's life is just watching Lex Luger take the shirt off.
Yeah. Dude, it's yes, that's exactly perfectly put. We got to roast that guy at some point. He actually would probably respond to us.
Yeah. He would respond to us asking if he could be on the roast.
I mean, QT Marshall, like that was, you know, he actually had a good week this week. Like his whole new gimmick of not being on TV and refusing to go on TV, it actually kind of works for him. But yeah. Ryback applying for the WWE ring announcer job, that to me was just, you know, just a fucking Sarah McLachlan should have been singing in the background. It was real sad, dude.
What do you think Robert's low spot would have been in high spot?
I don't know.
I think Robert's low spot would have been the Drew stuff, because as much as we make fun of Dan for liking Drew, I think Robert does secretly even more. Maybe the Goldberg stuff, as a, you know, as Jews, we don't have many heroes. And this is really sad to see what's happening. Oh yeah, this would totally be Robert's low spot.
Oh, you guys, for Jews, you guys have Barry Horowitz and Dracula, right?
And Heyman. Oh, you said Dracula. No, but this would genuinely be Robert's low spot. I'm gonna guess, and I could be wrong. The audio issue of pumping in Michael Cole during a Drew McIntyre entrance.
Oh, well, I heard that was actually, so they did pump with the
Cena comeback, right?
Well, they've been doing, they're just pumping in crowd noises and lowering the crowd constantly on both Raw and SmackDown. But the overlapping of audio was actually an overlapping of commercial that was supposed to be airing at some point or something. So yeah, that's not, yeah.
It was embarrassing though, just as like a single moment.
Oh, sure.
And yeah. Robert, as a guy who's all about production values and stuff, I think he'd be embarrassed by that.
Yeah, well, we miss you, Robert. I do think, you know, like him naming the sword after his dead mom is a little rough, man. Like, I just kind of was like, I guess you can't boo the sword now, right? Like,
yeah, when Drew gets a gimmick that I think is a Dan St. Germain text from 5 years.
Is he just going to start like to try to like get like he's like to get it like to get him over? Is he just going to start like, oh, my finishing move is now named kids put in cages by ISIS? You know, like things you can't boo.
I would love if he has more stuff and it's named after family members. Like, and this is my kilt named Oscar after my uncle. And this is my axe named Sheamus after my friend Sheamus.
Poor guy, man. I mean, the guy can wrestle really well. It's just unfortunate. This whole gender feud is very unfortunate.
Well, also, you're pointing a sword at a guy's throat, and then all of a sudden you're a heel, and everyone goes, "Stop! What the fuck is happening here? This isn't pro wrestling. You're threatening to murder a man."
There is a 50-50 chance he's gonna behead Shanky and just go, "Are you not entertained?"
What if Drew McIntyre accidentally decapitates a man? Like, how will WWE recover from that?
Oh my God! It depends on who it is, I guess.
Well, here's the thing: he'll decapitate a man, and then the next time we'll see it, we'll be in one of the screens on the Thunderdome.
All right. Well, next week, folks, we got the roast of British Bulldog. Just for some prep, we're going to be watching Brett versus the British Bulldog at Wembley Stadium for the Ain't That Swell, that SummerSlam 1992 main event. It's fantastic. Our show in hell will be the British Bulldogs drunk talking about a missing Matilda. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that promo. It's pretty wild. Dynamite or Dud will be reviewing Dynamite again. High Spot, Low Spot. Kurt, thank you for doing the show, sir. And what do you got to plug?
I'm Kurt Ryan, comedy _ on Instagram, and yeah, you can follow me on there. And thanks for having me on. Just a fun podcast to do.
Absolutely, Michael.
Yeah, I'm at the Mike Lawrence Comedy on Instagram, and I interact sometimes on the Facebook WrestleRoast page, and sometimes we all tweet different stuff from the WrestleRoast Twitter. Talking to you guys, interacting, entertaining you is the reason that we do it. It's fucking fun. Thanks for the support, and follow us on Patreon if you aren't. We got a lot of great shit.
Scottifer Chaplin.
Yeah, Wrestle Roast at Twitter. It's Scott _ Chaplin on Twitter and Instagram. Join the Patreon. God damn, it's fun. The $5 tier and the $10 tier. And what else? Oh man, Kurt's Instagram. I love Kurt's Instagram. I send other comics a lot of
really funny, man.
Memes. If you're a comic or a fan of comedy, it's super funny. I really enjoy it, man.
So, thanks, man. Yeah. Yeah,
man.
I feel bad for the people who follow me that aren't comics because they're like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Well, Kurt, don't worry. Nobody who follows you isn't a comic. That's our whole basis. iTunes is we have us a 5-star review. Leave a review. Become a patron, like Scott said. Join our Twitter, our Facebook, our YouTube channel. Keep spreading the word, guys. And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be at the AEW show in New York in September, and I know Scott will be, so maybe we can meet up with some people either earlier in the day or later at night. We'll figure it out. But thank y'all, and wash your damn hands.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.